Hello, beautiful people. This is Freedom Fighter. Thank you for tuning into our channel, Goldilocks Global Banking News. Everybody knows that Goldilocks is the #1 source for the RVGCR. People from around the world tune in to see what Goldilocks is sharing on the RVGCR. Don't miss your chance and get your latest updates every day. So like, share, and subscribe to this channel to get your daily podcast from the Goldilocks articles on the RVGCR. Brought to you by Freedom Fighter.
Hello, fine folks. This is Freedom Fighter, and welcome to Goldilocks Global Banking News. I am your host. Folks, Goldilocks is sharing some very important information today coming out of Iraq with the port of Fa, a major port. Goldilocks has been talking about the ports and customs for the last year or so, which will help to increase the value of the Iraqi dinar. Iraq has just made an announcement regarding the port of Fa's completion of the berths of 5. Also, Goldilocks is sharing the World Trade Organization and how it's connected to this as well. Folks, I'm not going to belabor the moment. Let's jump right into it. Have your mind and your ears ready. The Al Fa Grand Port announces from Iraq 5 berths formally handed over to Iraq. So what this is, folks, is for a couple of years, Iraq has been preparing to take this particular port live and also bring it to the new digital age. As many of you are aware that Goldilocks has been sharing how the value of the Iraqi dinar and other currencies increase on the water. This is why Goldilocks says, watch the water. Where are ports? They're on the water, ladies and gentlemen. Because the value of a country's currency, the strength of it or the lack thereof, comes from the trade on the water. This port, Iraq has almost 80 some odd ports. This particular one is their largest, but also it sets them up for import and exports throughout the world through one of the largest ports in the Middle Eastern region. The purpose of formally handing over the 5 berths of this particular Al Fa port is to mark a significant step towards the fully operationalizing this major project, enabling Iraq to significantly increase cargo handling capacity, bolstering its trade capabilities, and establishing itself as a key regional hub for maritime commerce, particularly for container and shipping and potentially oil exports, essentially serving as a vital economic gateway or a hub in the Middle East for Iraq by facilitating trade between Asia and Europe. So think of Iraq now as a major hub of trade in the Middle East for the Asian countries in Europe. Iraq now, through this particular port, is a central hub, a go-between, a major player in trade between Asia and Europe. Of course, Iraq being in the Middle East as the central hub. Goldilocks is sharing that these are key points about the port of Fa. The location is very strategic, with it being situated geographically advantageous, allowing for easy access to the Persian Gulf and facilitating trade routes between the Middle East and beyond. The economic development Goldilocks is sharing is so important because it's expected to significantly boost Iraq's economy. And of course, that will absolutely affect the value of the Iraqi dinar. The regional impact the Port of Fall project holds potentially to enhance regional cooperation and stability by bolstering trade links between Iraq and those neighboring countries. Just think of Iraq now being a central hub. Think of an airport here in the United States, like Atlanta, maybe Chicago, or other major airports, LaGuardia, New York, JFK, where it's a major hub for transportation that links countries from around the world. This particular port and these 5 berths is what allows Iraq to be a central hub for global trade, but particularly for the regional trade in that area. Also very important that Goldilocks is sharing about this port is the infrastructure development. This handover of the 5 berths represents a crucial phase in the construction of a larger port complex, which includes facilities to handle large container vessels. Remember the talk about the Iraq budget, which is an operations and expense budget, and the talk of the 1300 rate must increase in order to pay for projects? No. These projects, for example, that will be impacted and paid for by the revaluation of the Iraqi dinar will pay for additional projects, for example, connected to the Port of Fall and other major projects, like the Development Road project that we'll touch on. Not the projects within the budget. For example, these are projects outside of the budget that the RV will pay for or assist in funding. This is a major development, this Port of Fall, and moving forward, because this is where many private sector money will come into play to additionally increase the facilities and the infrastructure of this project, the Port of Fall. As you can see, just so you're aware, it's not coming from the budget. Iraq is gradually being given control over its own infrastructure and currency development through new economic policies enabling them to do so. Iraq's banking reforms are expected to be complete next month, December, by the end. This will enable them to prepare for the meeting that they're expected to have with the World Trade Organization in the first quarter of 2025. To join the WTO, a currency exchange rate will be needed to allow them access into the WTO. Goldilocks is continuing that the formal handover of the 5 berths from the Port of Fall, there are certain key points. Must understand that the trade and economic activity potentially attracting more foreign investment. Think foreign investment. Again, you see how this is where money from outside of the budget will pay for major projects outside of the budget. And this will help generate increased revenue through the port operations. See, the port increases revenue, which increases the value of the dinar eventually because of how it's able to move globally. And this will also would require the use of the dinar to be settled and its transactions to be settled with only dinar when goods and services are being shipped into Iraq to be settled through Iraqi dinar at the port of Fall and the others. This is why also the automated system for customs and data automation, ICE Qatar, is why Goldilocks has shared the digitizing of Iraq's ports. Folks, this is their major port called the Port of Fall. This will increase trade volume, which also will increase the value of the dinar. A functional port like the Port of Fall is expected to facilitate a higher volume of imports and exports, leading to more foreign currency inflows. Yes, leading to more dinar inflows. It will attract more investment into Iraq. The development of the port could attract more international companies to invest in Iraq, therefore also playing a part in the value of the dinar. The economic diversification as well, this Port of Fall plays a part in, which is it will enable greater trade. The port has the potential to diversify Iraq's economy beyond oil dependency. However, Goldilocks is sharing factors to consider as the implementation challenges. The Port of Fall may take time to realize, depending on the speed and infrastructure of its development. Regional completion as well is very important. The new joint venture is set to bring together expertise of both entities to attract international terminal operators and foster trade. This is why Goldilocks says, watch the water. Do you see how the largest port in Iraq that connects the world with Iraq for goods and services and trade and the development road project and private sector money, this all plays a part in increasing the value of the dinar through supply and demand. And absolutely this is connected to Iraq's membership into the World Trade Organization. Why? World Trade Organization? What is done at the ports? The trading of goods and services throughout the world. The process for a country to join the World Trade Organization is called accession. And it includes the application so a country must apply, submits a formal request. Iraq actually applied initially, ladies and gentlemen, in 2004, 20 years ago. And they just now met the qualifications. Also, to join the World Trade Organization, the Working Party, which they have the fourth Working Party, the first quarter of next year, which will be announced, the date. And that will be the final stage for them to enter into the World Trade Organization. The Working Party, as the General Council establishes a Working Party for the WTO members to examine the application by Iraq and other applicants. That Working Party of the WTO negotiates the terms of accession with the applicant, which in this case was Iraq. The bilateral negotiations, the final package, the acceptance, then the membership comes. Once Iraq is formally accepted, presumably from the fourth Working Party at the first quarter of 2025, 30 days after that, it's expected that Iraq will have full accession into the World Trade Organization, and absolutely, they must have a rate to enter. Goldilocks is also sharing about the World Trade Organization and relevant to Iraq. Applicants to the WTO must describe how their exchange rate is determined as part of their application. So just imagine a part of Iraq's application to the WTO, they had to disclose and describe how the Iraqi dinar rate is determined. Also, applicants such as Iraq must describe whether their currency, in this case the Iraqi dinar, they must describe to the WTO how the dinar is convertible. They must describe whether foreign exchange is freely available for trade and payments, and they must describe to the WTO if any regulations relating to retention of foreign currencies. And this is a part of the package that Iraq will have to go to their parliament to have completed before the fourth working party. Iraq must also describe the balance of their payments to the WTO. The World Trade Organization, folks, recognizes that trade policy and foreign exchange questions are interrelated. For example, exporters need to know how they will be paid. So when Iraq exports goods and products outside of the ports, they must know up front how they're going to get paid, and absolutely in dinars. To join the WTO, Iraq and any government must also bring their economic and trade policies in line with the World Trade Organization rules and principles. So just think, for Iraq to join, they had to get on board and get in line with the WTO's requirements. They also must negotiate with the WTO membership, meaning the other 120 plus countries of the World Trade Organization, on a guaranteed minimum level of access to their domestic goods and services. So what does that mean? Folks, for Iraq to join the World Trade Organization, they had to negotiate with all the other WTO members and agree on a guaranteed minimum access for those other countries to have a minimum access to Iraq's ports for goods and services, inclusive of this port of Fall. Exchange rates are determined by market forces of supply and demand, Goldilocks is sharing. The value of a currency in relation to another currency is based on how much demand there is for it relative to supply. The World Trade Organization is responsible for the rules governing international trade, while the IMF has jurisdiction over exchange rate questions. All of this, you combine it, you must realize there is no coincidence to the timing of the largest port in Iraq. 5 collectively ports in Iraq that have now digitized the ports. Their banking system connected to the ports, and the banking system connecting to the quantum financial system. No coincidence in the timing of the port of Fa in the 5 berths, the new beginning of this project for Iraq. The birthing, the new beginning, the genesis of our next shift to a new reality. As we can see, these are just parts of the whole coming together for us all. We love you. We appreciate you. Folks, enjoy this moment in the time that we're alive. What's happening with this great event that we await will never happen again. Be kind, be well. Be in unconditional love. Ciao.
Hello, beautiful people. This is Freedom Fighter. Thank you for tuning into our channel, Goldilocks Global Banking News. Everybody knows that Goldilocks is the #1 source for the RVGCR. People from around the world tune in to see what Goldilocks is sharing on the RVGCR. Don't miss your chance and get your latest updates every day. So like, share, and subscribe to this channel to get your daily podcast from the Goldilocks articles on the RVGCR. Brought to you by Freedom Fighter.